Hi, welcome to another episode of Wikipedia Weekly. I'm your host, Andrew Lih, also known as user Fuzzheado on English Wikipedia. So thank you for joining us for a special episode of Wikipedia Weekly, where we thought we'd show you how to create a biography from scratch in Wikipedia, because this is not always obvious to folks how you get biographies that stick around. And if you're watching us now, you're probably seeing us on one of four platforms, whether it's Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Periscope, Twitter, or on Twitch. So for folks who are watching us live out there, we welcome you to give us feedback and show us some of your comments and ask us any questions that you might have. So we're going to show you how to create these articles directly on Wikipedia and what kinds of things Wikipedia editors do to make sure they stick around. So without any further ado, let me introduce our folks who are coming in the podcast today. We have Rosie Stephenson-Goodknight. Hi, Rosie.
Hi, everyone.
Tell us where you are and where you're from.
Hey, I'm Rosie Stephenson-Goodknight. I edit as Rosie Step, and I'm from a small town called Nevada City in Northern California.
Great. And also, Rosie's too modest to say that she was Wikimedian of the Year, and she is known for being one of the founders of the Women in Red project, which we will talk about later. Rob, say hello and where you are.
Hello, I'm coming to you live from Q61. I'm better known as Washington, D.C. How you doing? How's everyone today?
Great. Thank you so much. And we also have from across the pond, Roger. Tell us a little bit about you.
Hello, I'm Roger Bamkin. I'm the other half of the co-founder of Women in Red, and I live on the Scottish-English border in a place called Jedburgh, just into Scotland.
Wow, sounds great. So for folks who are joining us on Facebook Live, you may have to authenticate yourselves. So go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, and that allows you to show up on our feeds as a named person. Otherwise, we will get very nice little messages from folks who are just Facebook user. So someone has said, hi, Rosie, but we're not sure who you are. So make sure that you go into the StreamYard.com/Facebook to authenticate yourself, and then we can see your face and your name on our comments. So there's a pretty cool system that we're using called StreamYard, where comments coming through on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter can be brought up on our screen, so we can actually see folks like Rob on the screen like that. All right. So what is our goal today? Our goal is to show you how folks with the project Women in Red are making biographies of women that certainly should have biographies, but don't always have them. And tell us a little bit about, Rosie, what's going on this month with the campaign that you're doing.
Well, we're excited about some of the things we're doing this month. One of them is called Merry Month of May. And this particular event focuses on women who were either born in the month of May, died in the month of May, or their first name or surname is May or some iteration of May, Mary, Marie, Marian, and so forth. We're doing another one on healthcare, and this is to honor not just all the healthcare workers that have ever done healthcare before. I think physicians and virologists and immunologists and nurses and medical assistants and pharmacists, but it's also a way to kind of honor the work that's being done now in this COVID-19 era. And then another thing we're doing is a focus all year long on sports. Women in sports, because this, remember, was supposed to be an Olympics year. And then kind of our big thing that we've been doing for 3 or 4 years now is hashtag One Day, One Woman. And that particular event, which the article we're going to create today is going to fall within that domain, it means exactly what it says. Every day, just write a biography about a woman on any topic, any geographical region, any period of time that interests you. Just write the article.
Great. Thank you. And that's really interesting. And I didn't even know this was going on until I had written a bio about a woman and someone put the tag on saying, thanks for contributing to this project. And like, I didn't even know what was going on. So I'm glad that I found out about it. So let's take a look a little bit about what brought up this whole idea. So I was looking through the news alerts about people who died this month or this week. And I noticed a very prominent person. And I said, oh, don't let this be another opportunity where they didn't have the Wikipedia article about a very famous woman executive. And of course, there was none. And that's where we really wanted to, say, this is a great example of how we can create an article about a woman executive and have it stick and make sure that we have that content. So one of the things that we did when we're looking this up is finding out all the sources and how we can actually get good content for this. So tell us a little bit about the mindset or the thinking process, Rosie, when you start looking at, should this person have an article in Wikipedia?
Yeah, I mean, that's important. So you mentioned her name to me in some channel, and the first thing I thought is, I've never heard of her. So let's see what I can find on her. And I did a search. You can search using Google or any other search engine, but I did a search to see if I could find 3 reliable sources. Now, a reliable source for the general population might be defined in various ways. And certainly every different language Wikipedia has its own definition of reliable source. But on English Wikipedia, it's going to be from the media, newspaper media, it's going to be a .edu website, a .org website, perhaps a .com, but certainly nothing like WordPress, no social media, so not LinkedIn, not Facebook, not Insta, none of those. And so I did this search and I found 4 great references on this particular person and that came up immediately. And so I knew that this was a hit, that there was no Wikipedia article about her. There should be a Wikipedia article about her. And she's actually mentioned in some Wikipedia articles. Her name appears, but it's not linked because so far, no article about her.
Right. And that's where I said, this is a great example of something that we can try to do collectively on screen, is to show how we do these types of things. Because we always get this question of how folks create content that sticks, right? And for folks who know how to write articles in Wikipedia, this is not so terrible, but I thought it'd be great to give people the kind of behind the scenes tour of this.
No article about her.
So this is something that I know is not Rosie style, but we're going to reveal the name and then we're going to create the article really fast. And we know it's not going to be good, but we're going to show you how we build this up slowly, piece by piece. So let's go ahead and reveal the name. So we at first, we're looking at Anne McBride. And if you go and look at her article, I'm going to go ahead and create the source. I'm just really fast. It's going to drive Rosie nuts. But I'm just going to put in this one sentence. I'm going to say start. So Anne McBride Norton was an American activist and executive. Now, the reason why we found this was if you go to Google News and you look at Anne McBride, she was the president of a pretty well-known watchdog group called Common Cause, at least here in the United States. So if you look at Anne McBride, she passed away. It was actually a while ago that she passed away, but I noticed that there was no Wikipedia article about her. And what did we find out about her, Rosie, when we were looking her up?
Well, that she's an American activist. She was an executive, and she served as president of a pretty important organization called Common Cause, a nonpartisan watchdog group that's based in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm. Great. So can I share your screen and you show us what your thinking process is in starting this article about her? So I just put the little seed in there, but you're the one who really knows how to do this well.
Okay. And what did you call her? Just Anne McBride?
Anne McBride, and this is one of the first things. So actually, as Rosie is doing this, the first thing to figure out, especially for women whose names can change quite a bit over different eras and marriages and whether they want to use professional name, is it Anne McBride? Is it Anne McBride Norton? Is it her birth name? There's all these different things are concerns, right?
Right. All right. So if you share my screen.
Yeah, we have it on screen.
Okay, great. So I'm in the article that was started just a minute or so ago by Andrew. And what I'm going to do is I've already created 2 sentences and 3 references that I want to add to this. So I'm going to click edit. And just so that you can see what I'm going to add versus deleting right off what Andrew's got, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this. And if I go show preview, you can see what I'm going to do is put her name in bold. And I'm going to use, in parentheses, her date of birth and her date of death. And we've already got that she was an American activist and she's an executive. And then that sentence that kind of, for me, clinches her notability is that, as we said, she served as president of Common Cause. Mm-hmm. And then you can see I've got 3 references lined up, one from the New York Times, one from the Fulcrum, and one from Harvard Law Today. Right. So give me a moment, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I separated those refs just so it'd be easy for you to see what I'm doing, but I'm not going to separate it any longer.
And you can see that Rosie here uses what we call the Wiki Markup editor in Wikipedia. This is like the original way to edit articles in Wikipedia. I'm not even sure these days how many people use the newer visual editor versus this markup, but we actually have 2 different ways that you can edit articles.
All right. So now we've got a little bit more about her, which I believe is going to assure that this article is not going to be nominated for deletion. You mentioned just a moment ago about the different names, and you're absolutely right. In fact, I think we want to call her Anne McBride Norton. And so what we're going to do now is take an opportunity to move the article. Mm-hmm. It's not going to get rid of Anne McBride. That's still going to be there. And if anyone types into the Wikipedia search box Anne McBride, it'll just take them automatically to this name that I think she's more commonly known as, which is using her, using both of her married names, McBride being after her first marriage and Norton after her second marriage. So if you just watch me do that, I'm gonna, whoops, that's not what I want to do, sorry.
So this is something that in Wikipedia, we can make different synonyms for things, or if we say, oh, that's not the right name, we can move it. And it's actually something that's probably not well known to folks, that you don't have to have any special privileges to move a page, right?
Don't you have to have page mover rights? Or I can never keep up with how they keep changing the rules.
Yeah, you can't have a brand new account, but I think after you've aged in, you can actually move.
Oh, yeah, if after you're auto-confirmed. Yeah.
Right. Great. So Rosie is moving the page, and does it say it left a redirect behind? Did it say that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Good. So click on it. So now you can see the page has changed to Anne McBride Norton, but then if you go to Anne McBride, it still has a pointer to this. Right? Great. So Rosie is moving the page, and does it say it left a redirect? So that is something that's really cool, is that we have ability to fix mistakes or have a second thoughts about things, right? So
that is the great thing about Wikipedia is you want to remember, like, don't worry, you're not going to break it. Anything you do can be fixed or undone.
That's a great point. So, Rosie, why don't you click on the View History button there and give people a glimpse of what's behind this page, where they can inspect the log of what's happened here, right?
Right. So you can see that the page was initially created by user Fuzzheado at 1356 on May 14th, and it included 58 bytes. I think that's the right word. Yeah, bytes.
Yeah.
And then it was expanded 3 minutes later, and it was moved 1 minute after that. So you can see all 3 edits, and these edits will always be viewable. So 14 years from now, you're still going to be able to see this edit history, but there will probably be dozens, maybe hundreds of additional edits to this article.
And you know what? And that's great. And you know what? What happened was exactly what I feared or wished for, is that our prolific friend Jason Moore says hit refresh, and we're going to see what is going to happen. Has anything happened? Hit the View History button. Did Jason just write like 5 paragraphs while we're not watching?
Oh, no. He added a category using...
Oh, excellent.
Nice.
I was worried somebody has put a speed deletion tag on it or something.
Yes. So
keep adding to the article. We're talking, but having our audience out there improving this article using these references or other references, or adding wiki links, or making this not an orphan article, just have at it.
Right.
I want to ask Roger a question, though. Hey, Roger, I know you're pretty much a specialist with Wikimedia Commons, and I was able to find a lot of photos of her, but none of them seemed like they were freely licensed. Is it okay? Can I just go ahead and use one, like just crop it and just plug it into Wikipedia? What do you think?
Well, if you find a picture on Wikipedia Commons, then you're free, on the Commons, you're free to use that one as much as you like, because the people have given the license away. But obviously, if you find an image on Google Images, then generally 99.999% of them you cannot use, because if you just create an image and nobody labels it as free to use, it's assumed to be copyright. Unfortunately, but that's the way the world is.
So the image of her in the New York Times article, I can't just steal it. The image of her at Common Cause, I can't just steal it, right?
No, but what I could do for you, Rosie, is I can work on that in the background, and I can crop that down. And if it's less than 300 by 300, and the lady is dead, then we're allowed to use it under a thing called fair use, which means that you're allowed to use the image even though it's copyright, because it's thought to be a reasonable thing to do as long as you use it at a reduced resolution. And I'll see if I can sort that out for you while you're working on the article.
Great.
Awesome.
Yep, that's a great point. And this is getting into some of the finer points of Wikipedia, which is great, is that what you see on a Wikipedia page, there's a lot of thought that goes behind that image that you're seeing. Is it actually in Wikimedia Commons or free repository, or is it a one-time use of a low-resolution image, which is exactly what Roger is talking about, that it's not an ideal solution, but it's a kind of a one-time use solution that we have. So great. So let's take a look, Rosie, about your sources there. So we kind of like skipped a few steps ahead, but now we can kind of unpack why you made that statement saying that you think this is pretty bulletproof in terms of its notability, right? That it will stay, and other Wikipedia editors will say, oh, okay, this means that she is notable enough. So what are the sources that you used here that really bring it home? Why should she stay?
Well, the first, which is maybe the best, is from the New York Times. So for the New York Times to run an obituary on you,
right,
in its own right, establishes a form of notability.
Right.
In fact, the New York Times, for quite some time, for most of its history, didn't really do a good job of obituaries on women. Far fewer obituaries about notable women than about men. And it recognized that, maybe a couple of years ago. And I think Rob was actually part of the group of people who actually helped bring light to that on Wikipedia, so that a change was made. And now there are far more obits on the New York Times about notable women. How did the history of that go, Rob? Like what exactly happened? How did you get that going?
Well, basically, they were just some context. The New York Times started this series called, I think it was called Overlooked.
Right.
And they were doing retrospect over something very interesting and innovative, that they were doing retrospective biographies. They were going back and saying, well, in 1917 and in 1984, whenever, we screwed up. We should have had an obituary on this famous woman at the time, but we're going to correct that and do that now. And these are great for any number of ways. It brings attention to, fills in gaps in historical record and provides sources that we can use for Wikipedia. And so when that series started, me and some other folks tried to drum up some attention about it and see if we could get those Wikipedia articles improved.
Exactly. And so as Rosie said, pretty much, you hate to say there's like one thing that just automatically makes you notable, but if you've got a New York Times obit, it's pretty unimpeachable, the fact that you're notable enough in Wikipedia. So that's great. So once you have that, but there's also a Washington Post obituary.
Yes.
There is plenty of other things. And plus, Common Cause is very well known in the DC area, at least. It's got some landmark work that's done. So to be president of that organization means you're in that stratosphere, right?
I'm going to add an external link now, the Common Cause article about her, Common Cause being the organization that she worked at.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to see me edit. Another thing I'm going to do is tidy up the references, separated so that our viewers could see clearly what they were, but it shouldn't really have spaces between them. So let me go ahead and
go ahead and clean that up. And then the cool thing is we will show folks all the nice work that you're doing with the wiki editor, also in the visual editor, that give you two different views of things, so that when we train a lot of new editors, we get folks to use the visual editor. And it's not that one is automatically better than the other. It's just different use cases for them. Rob here has a URL to the Overlooked series, which is great. Trying to, I don't want to say that Rosie and Emily Temple Wood were the ones who were responsible for all this, but they were absolutely, as Wikimedians of the Year in 2016, at the forefront of making sure that writing women back into history where they should have been was a major thrust area. And certainly if you're Wikimedian of the Year for the #1 reference site in the world, and Rosie and Emily were being interviewed and talking about women's biographies, I absolutely think you were at the forefront of leading this movement, so that you even had New York Times reacting, saying, yikes, yeah, if Wikipedia is putting a spotlight on this problem, we should be doing something too.
Yeah, you're right. I can give you a little history on that.
Mm-hmm.
So back in 2012, a group of Wikipedians, including Roger and me, and perhaps the two of you, but certainly a few others, decided in the month of March, Women's History Month, 2012, that what we would do is kind of stop the other editing we're doing. We would stop creating biographies regarding lakes, rivers, streams, archaeological digs, and what have you, and instead focus on creating women's biographies. And we did that for the whole month of March 2012. And then the next 11 months, not so much. And then in 2013, we repeated it, and we tried to make these articles in 2013 so good, March 2013, that some of them actually appeared on the main page of English Wikipedia in the section called Did You Know? And then the next 11 months, not so much again. And in 2014, we repeated the process. In all 3 of those years, 3 new projects were created. The first one was Wiki Project Women Artists, started by Sarah Stirch, who was a Wikipedian in residence at the Smithsonian and worked at the Wikimedian Foundation later on. And then Emily created Wiki Project Women Scientists, and certainly that's what she's known very fondly for. And Jess Wade works on that now, carrying the torch very high. And the following year, 2014, I created Wiki Project Women Writers. And so by creating these 3 different large groups of articles that we needed more of, it kind of gave the impetus for people to kind of see that there was a need and maybe start doing actions. But it wasn't until the end of December 2014, that the first research article was published that gave us a number. And the number that the researchers came up with was 15.5%. 15.5% of the biographies about women was all that we had about women on English Wikipedia. And then it was Roger's idea to let's talk about that at Wikimania, which is the large international conference that we do every year. In 2015, it was going to be in Mexico City. And I hopped on the project with Roger. We submitted a presentation. It was accepted. And before we got to Mexico City to present, we decided, hey, let's not just talk about the problem. Let's create a project where all year round, not just the month of March, we write biographies about women all day, every day, no matter where you are in the world. We don't have to have an edit-a-thon in Paris or Kabul or London. We can just do it from our homes. And we thought for about 15 minutes, people would do it and then they would go away. And much to our happy surprise, that isn't the case. And now we're close to 100,000 new articles that have been created, women's biographies, women's works, women's issues, broadly construed. And this one that you just created, Andrew, this is the latest one.
Right, that's great. And these are some of the folks you were just talking about. Jess Wade, Emily's there. And yeah, it's just amazing how far the project has come. And you've actually moved the needle, right? You said it was 15 some percent, and it's gone up to 18%. And it doesn't sound like 3 points is a lot, but it is a lot considering we're talking like millions of articles in Wikipedia, right?
Yeah. You know, I'm not the mathematician here, but we're now at 18.39%. And going from 15.5 to 18.39 when we're talking about over 1 million biographies. So far, right now we have 1,708,000. You know, it's a large change. It's a large incremental change when people are still writing biographies about men too. And that includes me. I'm writing men's biographies. Same time I'm writing women's biographies. So just imagine how many more women's biographies people around the world have to write. And we're not talking women writing about women. We're talking about everybody writing about women. This is everybody's problem. This isn't a woman's problem.
Right.
It's everybody's turn to kind of jump in and work on this issue.
Right, exactly. So this is great. You can see folks like Jason here have been very active in helping out here. And he's updated the category, not just American chief executives, but American women chief executives. So a more specific category. It's been great. So let's talk a little bit more about the article before we got plenty of things to talk about, but you can see here that we have the birth date and the death date. We have her occupation. She's served president of Common Cause, which is linked to the Wikipedia page on Common Cause, Washington, D.C., and then her conditions of her passing away here. And we now have 4 references there. So what are some other things that we should be adding here, or what we've seen being added here?
Well, we could add a photo, just saying.
That's right. So I don't know if Roger's off to find that photo. He might be right now.
Oh, I actually found one.
A free one or
on Library of Congress.
Awesome.
Nice. Okay, so show us. Yeah. Is it on your screen? Yeah. There we are.
I'll show you. Now, Library of Congress is a really great place to look for photos, but you want to keep in mind that not everything on the Library of Congress website is free for you to use. So what you want to go is, so here's a picture of Anne McBride collecting signatures on a Common Cause petition. And this is a great photo, but you can't automatically assume you can use it. So you want to go down here and look at the rights advisory. And it says, there are no known restrictions on work by staff photographers in the CQ roll call. That's Congressional Quarterly Roll Call Photograph Collection. So they generously, and I looked into some of the fine print, and it looks like that a couple years back they mass donated a bunch of old photos to the Library of Congress, including giving up the rights to them. So that is a very generous gift and very useful for Wikipedia purposes.
And I should not understate the fact that Rob is a pro on this. He is an academic librarian, and he knows how to navigate these things and show us all the ins and outs here. As you said, it's just because you think, oh, Library of Congress, it's government, everything is free. Not necessarily the case, right?
So yeah, so sometimes you have to become like a junior copyright expert, but you know, there's plenty of people out there on Wikipedia, on the Wikipedia projects that will help you with this. Right. So you can always put a note on the talk page and say, hey, I found this photo. Can I use it? Can I get a second opinion? Don't be afraid to do stuff like that.
Right.
So do you want me to put it on Commons real quick? I can.
That would be awesome. So one of the things that we would want someone to do in this case would be to, let's say, upload the full version that you found on the Library of Congress in case anyone wants the full source material, but also cut down one just for the profile, right? That's another thing.
Yeah, and I think I could do that pretty quickly if you wanted to throw it up there.
I love it. This is like not even what we planned, but it's a great thing. So as Rob is downloading it and cutting it,
this is the brilliance of live streaming. Is but make sure you have to download it, save it on your computer, and then upload it using the upload wizard, and something will happen eventually.
Jim says Library of Congress above average rights statements. nice to say. So this.
So,
Oh,
Rob, do you
someone had, sorry, Rosie. Rosie, someone has said that someone has moved it to another. Oh, start another language edition of this article already.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
Let me hit.
I'll bring up your screen.
I don't see them yet because the other language yet because we haven't created the Wiki Data.
You haven't created the Wiki Data yet. Well,
So
Rob is doing the image.
Oh, yeah. I guess.
Wait, let Rob go ahead and do what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then we can have Rob create the Wiki Data item, and that'll tie the two language versions together. So
why don't we skip ahead to the? Let me put off the photo for right now because I'm having some issues with the upload form.
Okay.
So why don't we go ahead and
let's do the Wiki Data then.
Go to Wiki Data instead. Let me save this really quickly.
All right. So while you navigate to that, and I'll share your screen when you get that up there. So for everyone out there, Wiki Data is the fairly new structured database that we have in the Wiki universe. And its primary role when it was launched, trying to remember, 2013, was to bind together or make a database of all the different language editions of a particular article, right? So when you see Anne McBride Norton, how do you know that there's a Spanish and a German and an Italian version? Wikidata was the kind of the central hub, and you link to all these different Wikipedia editions. So that was kind of the first reason to exist. But what if you could use that same database for stats and numbers and dates and references and all these things? And that's the promise of Wikidata. So Rob is going to show what to do to create a new Wikidata item for her, because we even looked at Wikidata. Sometimes you'll find the person in Wikidata, but not in Wikipedia, but she was in neither of these places this morning.
All right, so let me find the right window really quick. So this is to create a new item screen. It's really easy to do. All you have to do is first is you want to create a label, and that's the main thing that your item is going to be known as. And obviously, we're going to go ahead and use the title of the Wikipedia article, though not always the case. But in this case, it is. And what we also want to do is we can put in what's known as aliases. And those are basically other labels that will show up if you do a search for them, and that'll bring you to this item. So I'm going to go ahead and put in Anne McBride, and I believe there was another name that she was, let's see, I think we have her birth name as well available. So we'll put that in there too. So we got two different aliases, and you want to put in a short description. Don't worry about trying to cram everything in there. Just make it as short as possible. So let's say American. I don't know if activist is the right word. What do you guys think we should put in here as a description? Sure. Okay.
Activist executive, maybe.
And remember, you can always change all this stuff later. This is not permanent. This is not set in stone. Anything, once you create the item, you can change any of the parts other than the Q number. And you'll see now that we've created the item, it's got a unique, let me make this a little bit wider because there we go. See, it's got a unique Q number. So no matter whatever name, you can change her name to, a billion times. It'll still have this unique Q number and will always point to this Q number. And that way, whatever name you search for, as long as it's an alias, it'll bring you to this Q number.
Right.
Exactly. What we're going to do really quickly is add some basic statements. A statement is just a fact about the item. And so and then if you don't know what statements to add, Wikidata will suggest some for you. You don't have to add these, but it usually its recommendations are usually pretty good. The instance of is the most important statement because that tells you what this is at the most basic fundamental level. Is this basically person, place, or thing? And in this case, it's a person. And there are other statements for the more specific stuff, that she's an activist, that she had 2 children, that she was born in this date. And those, you put elsewhere. But in the instance of statement, you just want it as basic as possible. And so we're looking at a human. And then it also suggests some other things for you to add. We're not going to go through all of these, but really quickly, we're going to put her gender in there. And then that. And then so we already have a couple items, a couple statements. Now, this is its own Q item here. It's not linked to anything else. So what we want to do is, the most important thing we want to do right now is link it to the Wikipedia article.
Right.
And so you can link it to any number of language Wikipedias. Obviously, we're going to start with the English since we just created a stub. And did I hear right that there was another language item, or was I misunderstanding that?
Well, just do this first, and then someone else maybe in the chat. Someone in the chat said there's another language, so they can add that in a second.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So we're going to take the title. So what you want to do here is put in the language, English, and then the title of the Wikipedia article, and it will autocomplete it for you, and it won't let you link to something that doesn't exist yet. Right. So you can't do this before the article exists. You have to do it afterwards, so there will be something to link it to. And so now that there is something to link into, we'll click publish here and publish again. And I don't know what's happening. Live television, everybody.
Maybe reload the page. Sometimes there's some caching
here.
All right, try adding it again to edit. Type in EN for English. Oop.
Just ignore that. Pay no attention. The man behind the curtain here. What's happening? So we were trying to make this look easy. Instead, we're bumbling and stumbling all over the place. So sorry about that, folks. We really have done this before, I swear. We're very experienced at this, even though we're not showing it right now.
Okay, English, McBride Horton Publishing. Oh, yeah, right, I wonder if someone else connected already.
We'll circle back to that later. So let me purge the cache here.
Oh, you know what? Someone else made a Wikidata item in the meantime, and now we're getting conflicts. That's probably what it is.
Oh, great. Well,
the problem of doing live is someone jumped the gun.
Yeah, no, that's great. Go ahead and merge them.
What we're going to do is we're going to show you how to merge things, because sometimes things like this happen. Sometimes when you create a lot of items, some of them will be duplicates. Whether you created the duplicates yourself or someone else created one and you created the other one by accident.
And I think I found out. It's Vera. Vera's out there somewhere. Thank you, Vera.
Thank you, Vera.
So what we're going to show folks is how to do a merge. And if you go up to more down here and click on merge with, and then you put the Q number of the other item in there and click merge, and it's going to merge them both together, including all the statements that are in there.
Right. And Vera's done an amazing thing. Keep scrolling. She's put in the family name, the given name, date of death, all that. But the cool thing is that, Rob, you were more complete with the aliases. You had two other aliases, and Vera didn't. But the cool thing is now this one record has the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
No, we still don't have the second language. And so hopefully somebody's going to add that here quickly so that it shows up after I refresh our article. So we can see in the article how multiple language Wikipedia articles, you can just see them in the left-hand column. You can
one thing before we stop showing the screen, there's one thing I wanted to show folks about it. I just need to find the name. I should have found that before I started talking. But I'm looking for the name of her daughter. Okay, here we go. And so if you see these facts here, human, female, United States of America, and Norton, these are not text fields. These are not just blank text fields. These link to other items. So this links to the item for the United States of America, which you can't see because, but you could open it in another window. If you click on that, it'll take you there. And actually, let me do that really quick, and you'll see. Right. There's the item for the United States of America, Q30. So you can link items together. So what I want to do now is add the name of her daughter really quickly, just to show you an idea, give you an example of us linking two different items together in a really important way. And so the statement is the child, and then you want to put the name of the person in here. You can put the Q number here, or just type in the name if you already know who it is, and it'll match it. And it won't let you put in just anything. It has to already be a Q number. And then we click publish, and there she's linked to the article for her daughter.
And her daughter is a pretty famous pop singer. So that's one reason why she was already there. Typically, not all the children of these folks would be in Wikidata, but we knew that one of the things mentioned in the obit was her daughter had a pretty famous pop hit at one point. So what's really cool, and what Rob was great to emphasize, is that these are not just text strings. So I'm going to show you my view of this Wikidata item. And the reason why we can prove this to you is that if you have the special little feature, you can click on these little three dots here, and you'll see and McBride Norton in the middle there, but we can see all the connections that she has, right? Medical condition, educated at American University. This all comes because these are not just American University as a text string. We're actually linking to the objects in our database. And that's why Wikidata is part of this whole movement, what they sometimes call the semantic web. We know the meanings, we know the structures of all this information, which makes it even more powerful than just even reading Wikipedia off a page. We actually have ways to graph and show these relationships over time, which is really cool. So
one
that
thing
was a long.
I think you should mention to folks that that's a particular gadget, and that they're not going to necessarily see that when they go into Wikidata for the first time.
They're not going to have that, but you should watch Rob and me do Wikidata editing on another podcast, or we'll go deeper into this on another one. But that's the power of Wikidata, is seeing those things and exploring the connections without someone having to write about it. So that was a long sidebar to get back to the Wikipedia article, but it was really useful, right? Because we said, here's the Wikipedia article we wrote. We now create the Wikidata. Vera was awesome in filling that out. And then now other people can be generating a different language edition of the article based off what we just created, which is awesome. So now let's get back to Rosie, and Rosie's going to show us the next step you'd want in writing a bio. So Rosie, we have your screen up there. And what are you doing now? You're adding more prose, right?
I'm adding some more prose. I'm adding a section called biography, where I generally what we do here is we start with the person's name at birth. Obviously, for gentlemen, that's going to be usually the same name, but for women, not always. And in this particular case, Anne McBride Norton wasn't born with that name. She was born Virginia Ann de Gravelis. Okay, and so that's how we start here. That she was born in Lafayette, Louisiana. We've got the date of birth. We've got a reference for that. And then it goes on to talk about who her parents are. Charles was the dad, who served as chairman of the Republican Party of Louisiana. And her mom, Virginia, née Whedon de Gravelis, served on the National Republican Committee. So what I want to do is show you here on Whedon how to let people know that not just that it's in parentheses, what does that mean? That it's her maiden name, Virginia's maiden name. And how we do that is we write the word née. And what we want is an accent, I think it's called accent grave, on the first E. And to do that, if you're watching my screen, I'm going to switch to Latin letters. And now you can see, looking at the Latin letters, I picked the correct one. Now I'm hovering on it. And by clicking it, it has inserted the E with the accent on it so that it's clear this was her maiden name. I'm going to switch back here to Wiki Markup. And then this second paragraph, if you will, I say that she attended Louisiana State University, located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but she left in 1964 when she married her first husband, Charles. But in 1992, she earned a bachelor's degree, and that was at American University in Washington, D.C. These marks around words are what we call wiki links, and that's what makes things linkable in Wikipedia. If you've got links in blue, you can be taken to another article. We call it going down the rabbit hole. But if the link is red, it means the article doesn't exist. Right. So I'm going to put an edit summary because we should. I'm going to say expanding article, and now I'm going to show you the preview of what that's going to look like and see if maybe I did something wrong. This is my chance to fix it. And everything seems to be okay. So let's publish changes. And now we have a little bit more on her.
Nice.
I want to point to that Wikidata item, like I mentioned, would be in the far left column. This is what Rob just created, right? And so if I click on that link, it takes me to everything you saw moments ago while he was adding this information about her.
Well, and credit to Vera, too, for adding a lot of these.
Credit to Vera.
We merged both of those items together.
I think we found that there were some authority controls. Do you mind if I add them now?
Oh, please do. Yes, yes.
Yep.
Okay,
So,
so let's add.
so you add those authority control records, Rosie. Oh wait, where are you? Okay, yeah. So while Rosie, you can watch Rosie add them there, and Rob and I can talk a little bit about what she's doing. Authority control records are like a special part of a Wikidata item, which are just pointers to other databases, but really, really cool for like librarians and archivists and folks like that, because popular things like the Library of Congress ID or VF, which is the virtual, Rob?
International Authority File.
Right.
Yeah,
So these are records librarians use all the time, right, Rob?
Yeah, exactly. No, this is like basically fundamental infrastructure of the library world. When any book or article written by Anne McBride Norton is going to be and it shows up in a library catalog, it's going to be pulling some information from this authority file. And the authority file is basically the central file. It says like, this is what name we're going to use. These are her dates of birth and death, hopefully. And hopefully there's that information in there. And so basically it's just kind of a file that says like, look, all our records are going to be referencing this. And so it's fantastic for Wikidata to be able to link to that directly and be part of this interlocking web of knowledge.
Right. And what Rosie did was you put a template at the bottom, right, Rosie?
Yes, I did. I put a template that looks like this. It's called authority control, and it's got the curly cube brackets in front and behind.
And what that does is it pulls whatever notable identifiers are in Wikidata and puts them at the bottom there. Now, for some folks, you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But for something like for authors and folks who are content makers, this is really useful, right? You can go off to national libraries and other records to explore stuff off of Wikipedia.
Yeah, and even if you don't know what this stuff is, that's fine. But just know that it's part of the digital infrastructure that links all this stuff together.
Right. And sometimes you might hear the term linked open data, right, Rob?
Exactly, yeah. And then you could use this information, like if you click on the WorldCat identities, then you can see like books all over the world that are by or about her. And you can eventually use that information like a few clicks away. You're a few clicks away from finding a list of libraries near you that have books about her or by her. Right.
And we're going to show you another cool Wikidata trick. Is if we go back to the article, Rosie, while we were editing, you'll notice Jason did a great job of adding the start, go to the top, the start of an info box, which is just kind of a skeleton. So this is kind of the old style way of doing info boxes in Wikipedia, where it's like, okay, let's start the box and we'll start to fill it in. But you probably remember when we look at the Wikidata item, you know what? We had a lot of that stuff in Wikidata already. Why reinvent the wheel? So Rosie, you're going to delete that info box that you see right there. And instead, or get rid of everything below info box person. And we're going to put in a special one-liner that'll grab all the stuff from Wikidata. All right.
And what is it? Tell us.
So,
drum roll, please.
Oh, here's the thing. It's not always easy to remember. It's a little bit confusing at times. So you're going to use an info box person.
Why don't you put it in our chat box and I'll just grab it.
I'm going to put it in the chat box in a second. Yes. Info box person / Wikidata. And then there's a special directive called fetch all. So I'm going to put it into the chat so you'll see it, because it's not that easy to remember. And I always have to keep looking it up all the time. Did you put it in there, Rob? I'm going to put it in there.
Oh, no, I can do it real quick.
But it's in the chat now. So if you say it's info box person / Wikidata, and then a pipe character, and then fetch Wikidata equals all in all caps. So Rosie, look in our chat. There we go. Hit the save button with a little nice note there. And hopefully cross your fingers. We'll see what happens. Look at that. There we go.
So you'll notice, for those playing along at home.
Oh, did you hit show preview or publish? You should show preview.
I did show preview and then I clicked publish.
You're a good person, because I rarely hit preview. I just let it fly. So there we go. So Rob, explain what happened here.
Oh, well, so you'll see, you didn't see her type any of that information. It's all coming in real time from Wikidata. So all she did was put in an instruction to the article and say, pull all this information from Wikidata and display it. It's all just a pre-programmed code. You don't have to enter it all manually. And what if some of this information is wrong? What do you do? Well, if you look really closely at the info box, you'll see there are little pencils there. And if you click on one of those pencils, it'll take you to Wikidata, and you can edit the information there. So if if her alma mater is wrong or something else is wrong, you just click there, and you can edit on Wikidata just like you would be able to edit it on Wikipedia. And the great thing about it is, if someone changes it in Wikidata, it is changed automatically on all the Wikipedias in whatever language it's in, if they have one of these info boxes in there.
Right. And this demo worked out even better than we had planned, because we were going to have Rob fill out the Wikidata, but Vera did it, and Vera did it even better than than the average person, because she put in references. So Mahir's question here is absolutely on target. Like, does the info box stuff require Wikidata to cite outside sources? You're absolutely right. If there were no references, the info box would not have brought in that data. So let's go back and take a look at that real quick. What Rosie was showing here is, you see, oops, go back to Rosie for a second to the article. If you look back in the article, all the things with pencils next to them are pulled from Wikidata, but they're only pulled in because Vera did a good job and added a reference for each of those things. If she did not add a reference, that info box would not have pulled it in. So that's kind of the responsible thing to do, is bring in only referenced content.
Yeah, and it's also a good incentive to add those references to Wikidata. Otherwise, this information will show up on Wikipedia.
Right. But here's the confusing thing, and Mahir had a great question. He says, I remember running into something like this at the recent conference that we had. And the weird thing is that infobox person might have a certain policy, and another infobox for like museum or something else or painting might have different standards. So there are some inconsistencies in that certain things, especially for people, because it's biography living persons policy, are very stringent about referencing, right, Rosie?
Yeah. And one thing to note about this Wikidata article that Vera created is she's done an excellent job with these references. Like, a lot of Wikidata articles will not be fleshed out this much.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea how Vera did so fast. I'm sure she had some kind of tool, and I'm really eager to find out later what she used to create that Wikidata item so fast, because it's amazing. So you should know Vera is a great developer and a photographer in our community. So I'm not surprised at all. I'm just really curious as to how Vera did all that so fast. So that's great. Another comment from Jim: you can also insert the template in Visual Editor, no code needed. So it's actually a good time perhaps to show folks what this thing kind of looks like in Visual Editor, just so that we kind of see how the other half lives. So maybe, Rosie, while you're adding some more things, we can show folks what it looks like in Visual Editor up here. So this
why don't we have Rob go ahead and do that?
Well, Rob has to do the image upload. Have you done the image upload yet?
No, I was waiting for you to. I'm ready to do it live.
Oh, well, let's do that. Let's go to let's do live.
All
right.
right.
Go to Rob live. All right, here we go.
So if you remember, and I'll take you through it again really quickly, you go to the upload wizard, you click the blue button, and then you pick the file on your computer. And I've already done it because it's a large file, so it took a second.
So this is already a file on your computer. You're re-uploading it in, right?
Right, exactly. And so on this screen, this is the first of two screens, and it's a really quick process. But it looks more complicated than it is. But there's three fundamental pieces of information you need to put in on this page. First is the source, where you got it from. All you need to do is put that Library of Congress URL, the name of the author, which I just cut and paste from the Library of Congress website. And most of the time, you're going to be posting stuff with a Creative Commons license or that's in the public domain. This one is unusual, so I had to do it manually, and I had to insert manually a Library of Congress template. And most of the time, though, your choices are just going to be one of these on the boxes, and you just check it off and you move to the next screen and don't even think about it again. All right, so let's go to that next screen and see what's there. Well, first we want to create a title. So please don't leave the string of numbers there. Put a good title in there. And so I'm going to put in cut and paste some text from the Library of Congress and make a title. There we go. And then the description is, and I'll come back and fill this out later, but there's a lot of information that's on the Library of Congress website. And so you want to put out as much of that on there as possible. Right now, I'll just cut and paste a few things and come back and fix it later. And then put a date. If you don't know it, that's fine. Just put in the information that you do know. And then we'll also add some categories, but we'll add that later. And we'll publish the files. And And we're going to skip this step. We'll talk about that in another episode.
So
but
you have uploaded a very high resolution image, right?
Yeah, and there is the image. Now, of course, you're going to look at this and you're going to say, hey, I can't use this in Wikipedia. You know, it's like, it's cropped funny. It looks strange. There's 2 pictures of her. And so let's see. Why is it showing the upload wizard when I'm looking at the final photo on my screen?
Are you in a different tab?
Because it opened it another window.
Right. Right.
Okay. So let's.
So you can visit the file.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go visit. Sorry about that, folks. Let's go visit the file. So this is what I was talking about. There's 2 images of her. It's, you know, it's kind of diagonal, like, and so we just want to focus on her. So we can use what's called the crop tool and create what's called a derivative image of this. And while we're keeping the original intact, we're going to create a new image from it.
Cool.
By cropping it and use that in the Wiki Data in the Wikipedia article.
I would use the other one, the smiling one.
Okay. It's very easy to make. You know, you have to go in a gadget to turn on the crop tool, but once you do, it makes it very easy to quickly manipulate these images.
So I like to use to make it square if you're able to.
Yeah,
do
can
that.
you make it more square?
Oh, absolutely. And you can create.
We're backseat driving, Rob.
Oh, no problem.
It's the one
The
on
thing
the
about
far,
this is,
Can
you
you
don't
see
like
custom?
option tab,
Wait,
Yep.
click on custom on the right there.
and maybe a little larger.
Wait. Don't eyeball it. Yes, do it either 1-to-1 for custom.
I have no idea what I'm doing here. What am I doing it? 1-to-1?
1:1 for the custom.
All right. Yeah, this is not something I use. I usually freehand it.
There you go.
But,
and then you can crop in. Yes.
There we go.
And Vera saying, please use format.
Drop a little bit, Rob.
I promise I'll go back and fix it. I promise.
Okay. So that's pretty good for now. Yes.
Yeah, and the great thing about this is you can create any number of derivative images. So if you want a rectangle, if you want a circle, if you want a different aspect ratio, you can go back to that original file and create a new derivative file.
So please, when you save it, would you include the year that this was taken? It'll say on the Library of Congress website. So Anne McBride 2018 or something as the new title.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we're going to review the result here, and
Wait,
here's our new image. So what can we do with it? Well, you want to cut and paste the name of that file, and we're going to put that in her Wikidata item. So let me stop streaming that and go back to her Wikidata item whenever window I left.
You didn't have to take it off. It's okay. All right.
Sorry about that.
So you're going to go to Wikidata and put it in, which is going to be cool. And in theory, when he puts it into Wikidata and we reload the Anne McBride Norton page here, it should say, hey, the Wikidata item has an image now, and I'm going to bring in the image. So for folks who are not that familiar with Wikidata or Wikipedia editors have never seen this, this is mind-boggling that you can centrally change something in any Wikipedia edition with an info box generated off Wikidata gets the benefits. Right?
So I put that image in Wikidata, and in Wikidata you can only put images that are on Wikimedia Commons. So that's why we had to do that. You can't put in a URL or an image that is copyrighted. And
so we may have to purge the cache. Let's take a look.
So once it's in the Wikidata item and you refresh this page,
Wikipedia already.
Woo!
Here we go. Look at that.
So any second it should appear.
Oh, it's trickling. There we are.
There we go. And of course,
so
you
just
can
think about it. Like 1 hour ago, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Right. 1 hour ago, we did not have an article, but now, thanks to Rosie and Rob and Vera and Jason, this is how it happens. This is how the magic happens in Wikipedia. Look at this thing. We have references. We got text. We got an image. We got an info box. That's how collaboration happens, right? So what should we tackle next?
How about her talk page?
Yes.
And let's associate this with a few different things. Shall we do that?
Already added it.
Let's see what's on the talk page already. What has someone already done?
Did you see someone already added the stuff here? So.
Wow. Look at that.
Well, you know what we could do? We could simulate there being nothing. Sorry, I don't mean to do this. So let's say simulate.
No. I would say it's okay because we need to make changes to it already. And we can do
Well,
that.
why don't you show me your groovy tool, Rosie? So why don't you go in and show me your screen, reload that page so there's nothing there, reload the page, and then show me what tool you use to add metadata to this page.
All right. So you're going to notice that when I'm looking at an article, I've got the ORA's predicted quality showing me that the AI of Wikipedia is saying this is probably a start class article. Okay, now somebody might look at this and say, oh, I don't know if I agree with that. I think maybe it's better or it's worse. So I have this handy tool that's on the far left side. And when I click it for page size, it's going to tell me how much prose is on this page. And for me, the cutoff is 1,200 bytes. If there's at least 1,200 bytes of prose, I'm going to consider making this a start class. Otherwise, it's going to be a stub. So let's take a look. I'm going to click on that. And this says it's only 835 bytes of written prose. And so even though ORA's predicts that this is start class, I'm going to use this marker of prose size to say that it is not. It is not, it's actually a stub. So one of the first things I'm going to do is on the article itself, I'm going to put a stub template. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to put a simple one, which can be improved later, become more refined, I should say later. US bio stub. And when you do that, let's do a show preview. You see what you get? That this is a biographical stub of someone from the United States. I'll hit save, and then you're going to see where this ends up, because there's some people who like to work on these biographical stubs. If you go down here, American People stub, by clicking on that, these are all the articles that are found in this major category. Someone is going to come through now and refine it. Maybe she's an American comics creator stub, or American comedian stub, or economist, or entertainer. Someone else is going to, actually, she's an activist. So when I say somebody, let that somebody be me. Let's go ahead.
The great thing about that Wikipedia is the somebody is you, yes.
The somebody is you. You know, it's you or me, it's your next door neighbor or mine, it's somebody in Serbia, or it's their aunt or uncle. You know, it's all of us. So now it's a little more refined, and it's going to drop into that American activist stuff categories. Mm-hmm. And now what we're going to do is go to this section. You can see these tabs. The one for more has something called Rater, where I can automatically put information on this person's talk page. Let's see if something's showing up as already on her talk page. Nothing. So she belongs to Wiki Project Biographies for sure. And Wiki Project United States. And Wiki Project Women. And that's a pretty good start, except she's not a start class article. We've already said this is a stub.
In your estimation, it says stub, right? So you're going to put stub. Good.
I'm going to change to stub. I could change this to maybe medium or something. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it low. Someone else can change it. And then I'm going to click save. And now when you go to her talk page, see it says rating saved successfully. You click talk. There you go. You can see all of this. I'm going to add one more thing here. I'm going to add a tag for Wiki Project Women in Red. And we had talked about that there's this thing called hashtag one day, one woman, write an article about any woman, any day. And that uses its own template, which is, I don't remember them by heart. So here we go. Uses this template. So I'm going to add it to her talk page. And when I do,
you'll get a groovy message.
You get a groovy message. And what this tells somebody is mostly assume good faith. This was created as part of an initiative. And if you have an issue with it, just know that there are people who are kind of working on the article, and you can go to them and ask a question if you think perhaps she doesn't meet notability requirements, or that something I thought is a reliable source, maybe you disagree. So that's what these kind of additional templates kind of give us.
That's great. And it's something that is, that talk page has become a catch-all for all kinds of tagging and maintenance stuff that we do. So in fact, when you see talk, it's a lot more than just talk, right? It's kind of like a big construction work zone for our articles there. So that's great. Let's see what other things we can see here. So I don't want to diminish what another believer, Jason, did, but this is what he had before we blanked it just to show what Rosie was doing there. But you can see that he added it is requested that an image or photograph be included to improve its quality. And we just did that. So that's awesome.
I thought one of the things we could do next is to add information about Anne McBride Norton into other articles, so she isn't what we call orphaned.
Correct. Right. That's a great question. And so one of the things that we can show first is, as Rosie said, we can click on this tool, which maybe a lot of folks have not done before. It says, what links here? Is anything pointing to this right now? And, not that much. No. There's a redirect. There's some other things here, but it might be the wrong person, right? So we might have to do some cleanup, that there's other Anne McBrides out there who are not this Anne McBride. So there's some cleanup there. But Rosie, I think, as you said, the most important thing is make sure from the Common Cause Wikipedia page, it points to her, because I believe we'd looked before and it wasn't even linked. It was just, it mentioned her name, but it didn't link to it, right?
Yeah, so let's go take a look at that. We're clicking on Common Cause, and let's see if she's mentioned here.
I just look for her McBride part.
It's Anne McBride. So I'm going to add a link. I'm going to do that right now. And she may have been known as Anne McBride when she worked there, and I'm going to leave that. I'm going to remember our link is the article Anne McBride Norton, but I don't know if you can see how I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger here. See what I've done here? The first part, Anne McBride Norton, is what we're calling the page today. But by putting the pipe and then leaving Anne McBride, that's what's going to show on the page. Let's do a show preview. And that's probably how she was known when she was actually employed there. Yeah, right. That's going to look just right. And now I'm going to just say add wiki link. And now here she is. There's one more article that has the link. There's a link on the McBride. We saw that, right? I don't know if you noticed that. If you go to the page called McBride surname, somebody's already added her there.
Excellent. If you'd like, I can show folks how to add a link in the visual editor.
Would you do that? That'd be great.
Yeah.
That would be good. Rosie is definitely the power user using Wiki Markup.
Yeah, no, and if you can, do it this way, and a lot of veterans like us sometimes find it easier to do a lot of things this way, but it can be really intimidating for the new user. And so we want to show off Visual Editor really quickly whenever you guys are ready.
Yeah, should I move to you?
Yep.
Yeah, so I've got her daughter's article there, and so I'm going to click, instead of edit source, and source is what we call the wiki markup that Rosie's been using. I'm going to just click on edit and use visual editor. And you'll see that it looks very much like nothing much has changed, but I can just type right in there. And don't worry, don't, make sure it's correct before you push that button, but yeah. So what I'm going to do is just going to add quick sentence there. And so before I press publish, there's two things I want to do. I want to add links and I want to add a source. And so really quickly, what I can do is I highlight the text that I want to link to and click on the link button up here in Visual Editor. and it'll bring up a little menu here, and it'll give me a choice of things to link to. And so I'm going to click on the Common Cause organization here. It's got the link, and now it's in blue, just like all the other links. And I'm going to link it back to the article for Anne McBride Norton the same way. And you can see this is definitely the same article. There's the thumbnail of the picture we just added. Nice. There's a description there. And, all right, so we're almost ready to go. And even if you don't add the links, even if the information is still important, but this makes it very easy to do. And also, I'm going to add one of those sources, that Washington Post obituary that we use as a source in her mother's article. I'm going to add it here by clicking the Cite button. And instead of manually typing it in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go to Automatic here and cut and paste the URL of the Washington Post article, and it will generate a citation for me. It's not always going to be perfect. There might be some missing information, but at least it's a starting point. And so we'll see how well this one turns out. Any second now.
Yeah, it depends on load and on the response on the other side of the website. So hopefully it'll come back with something.
You could do this with, okay, so this is a little off, and we're going to, and I'll go back and clean it up later. But it's in there now. And then, you can cut and paste an ISBN, a JSTOR link,
So you've inserted it. If you click on the number again, right, Rob, you can edit and fix things if you want to.
Yeah, so let me clean that up really quickly. So the title's okay, the URL is okay, but this is obviously not the last name of the author. Email, follow. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull his last name from where it ended up in the first name, and we'll clean that up. Apply changes. And there, it looks so much better now. And that's all you have to do. So let's publish that. And now the edit is live. With the references, with the links right back to the article we were working on. And so there's another article in Wikipedia that's linked to this new article that we've created.
Great. So if we come back to this list here that we generated before, we hit a reload.
Did we lose Andrew?
I think we might have lost Andrew.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. I'm sure he'll hop back on. Here we go.
I hit the wrong button there. But if we
say, now we have no host.
No, go ahead.
Forever.
Hit the what links here button, Rob. You can do it. I cannot do the right thing here. So then we should see the Common Cause and other stuff.
So now that we've refreshed this list, you can see there's that Rosie added. There's her daughter Mary McBride I just added, and
people from Lafayette, Louisiana. Yeah,
good. City. We've got her surname in there. We've got the Common Cause. A list of people from Lafayette.
Nice.
Yeah, and you don't have to do this, but if you want to, this is how it's done. And you just, you go through the article and you look and you see things that might be worth linking to. Not everything, maybe not, Washington, D.C., but she's from a small town or city. Maybe you want to put her name in there. And definitely, though, you want to put it in articles like the organization she works for or people that she's related to. Definitely that.
And this is true not just for biographies. This is true for any article that you choose to create on Wikipedia. The better the linkage is, the more likely that somebody is going to find that article as they're clicking around on Wikipedia. So don't leave an article as what we call an orphan. In other words, without having linked to anything. Do your best to try to sort out how to link it to something else. And the more of these links, the ones that are appropriate links, not just anything like Rob said, we don't need to link her to Washington, D.C., but we did need to link her to the city where she was born. Likewise, we might want to link her to the 2 universities where she attended, because often there's an opportunity to a section for notable alumni. I'm just going to take a look if that's possible with Louisiana State University. You don't even have to show my page. I'm just going to see if there's a section on Louisiana State University for notable alumni. There is. Rob, you want to add it there because we're showing your screen still?
Oh, yeah, sure. All right, Louisiana. Okay, so
what I normally do, no, I don't grab that, Rob. I grab, if you go up to the top of the article, don't grab, Yeah, I grabbed this. Okay.
Oh, that way you have text to put in there. Okay.
Yes, I would grab Anne
All right.
McBride Norton, Prince, blah, blah, blah. And there you go.
Ah, that's smart.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go down to the alumni.
So you grab the lead sentence as the thing
I
you
grabbed
put into the
whole
list.
sentence.
Oh,
I
nice.
go
notable
down
alumni.
I
All
never
right,
thought
so
of doing that. That's pretty cool.
notable
So it
alumni.
looks like, yeah, so it looks like there's a whole article about this list of Louisiana State
Oh, I'm
University.
sure. They're very
Okay.
proud.
So we're going to go to
definitely.
that one.
Go to the main article instead. Click
Sorry?
that link. Click the link for list of.
Yeah, I'm there now.
You're there now.
And let's see.
Not
all right.
military. She's not.
McBride.
sport.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
government,
just gonna-
politics, activism.
Is there a section for activism?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll put her in there too.
No, well, you're in it. It's government, politics, activism. You're already in it.
I thought it was just a general section. All right, so we're going to click on edit source here.
Yeah. Or edit.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Click it.
And then put it
And
in
long
their
article,
alphabetical order.
It can take a bit to load because of how long this article is.
This is a long one. That's true.
It is.
Yeah. But let's see.
And then we're going to put her
And
alphabetically in the right place.
We're going to paste our text,
Scroll up somewhere.
and we're going to edit it a bit to fit in with the rest of the article.
Right. So one of the things we'll do is we'll delete June 23rd, comma. We'll delete May 5, comma. So it just has the birth year, death year.
And I'm going to...
Just leave birth year, death year, not the whole date.
Oh, sorry. You're right.
Now, eventually, this will be replaced by Wikidata in some point. Who knows?
And I'm also going to embellish this a little by adding a reference to Common Cause.
Mm-hmm. And you can even link in Common Cause there if you want.
No, actually, we're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, I know. The style is
Oh,
not
not?
to.
The style is only to link the name of the person and
So many
nothing.
rules on Wikipedia. Honestly, like, if you break just for the folks in the audience there, if you break a little rule like that, which is just basically a style guideline and not an actual rule, if you do something like that, somebody will come along and fix it. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about crossing every T, dotting every I.
Right.
Just get your links in there, get your sources in there, and you can fix it yourself later, or somebody else can help you fix it.
That did always bother me that you fail to take the opportunity to teach someone with a link. You just cannot have them. So anyway, so we did pretty good. We got it to a point where we have a very full Wikidata entry with an image, which we did not expect to have, which is great. And we can see if the other language has been added here. We don't see it quite.
Not yet.
So we don't see Andrew anymore either.
I'm back. Sorry.
There he is. So yeah, and I think this is I wonder if this is a good, that we should do this sort of thing more often, because this is the most productive I've been on a single article in a long time.
And we're helping out the project for the month, so we can do a lot more. So Rosie, tell us again to wrap up. Just May is where it's happening, or is going to be beyond May?
Hashtag One Day One Woman is happening all year. So
all year. Wow.
All year. Actually, it's been happening. This is its third year. We thought it would run for a month and everybody liked it so well that we just kept it going. So join the campaign, hashtag One Day One Woman, and write a biography about a notable woman any day, anytime, from anywhere, in wherever you live, at the comfort of your home, especially now in this era of a pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm editing the article.
Great. And thanks so much for the folks who joined us on the chat. It's pretty amazing. It went beyond what I thought would happen. We knew it would be a problem when we are casting to all of our very active Wiki fans out there that they want to jump in and help. And we absolutely love that.
Oh, yeah. We thought we were going to end up with a like a 1-sentence article, and everyone chipping in really helped that. Well, that's Wikipedia in action right there. Is that you bring together everybody's efforts and you end up with more than the sum of the parts.
That's right. So any parting words, Rosie? Take part in the One Day, One Woman campaign. We're going to have more, hopefully, meetups. I know that there's going to be some kind of... actually, I should announce it that the 16th, I think this coming Saturday, there's going to be a whole Wikimedia Global Check-In project, which is going to be like a 24-hour edit-a-thon. So if folks are interested in that, you can jump into that.
I'm thinking like stuff like what we did today. Maybe that would be a good way to help newbies. Is like get a few of them in a chat room with an experienced editor and show them how to do stuff like this.
Yeah, especially if you know already a little bit about how to edit, but you want to learn how do I create a new biography and what's the special stuff about a biography versus an article about a lake, a river, a mountain. We've actually got 4 essays about writing biographies about women. I don't know if you can share my screen. I've got that up on it. And this is kind of helpful primers on biographies about women. One is how to write women in Wikipedia, how to deal with articles for deletion, articles for creation, a primer for creating the biography, some 10 simple rules for creating the biography. So written by various seasoned veteran editors of writing women's biographies. But these rules, these primer kinds of information, this will work for other articles too. It's just especially helpful for women's biographies.
Right. Yeah, it may be useful just if we can have a more condensed version of what we just did. If I have the time to edit it down, it might be a good kind of previewing for folks who want to do edit-a-thons, just to kind of see how the articles are made and what kind of things happen. So great. We have a Doreva said, great work. Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Rob, you're saying?
No, I was just saying thank you. Just adding my voice to the chorus.
All right. So let's try another one of these, but I thought this was fun just to see how we can do something for the One Day, One Woman campaign. And folks in the chat, let us know of other articles or areas that we can edit. I know that in the next month or two, there's going to be some interest in doing more with GLAMs. There's a whole Finding GLAMs project. So they want to write more articles about museums and things like that. So maybe we could try tackling one of those. So thank you very much. So we'll see you next time on the Wikipedia Weekly podcast. And I will remind folks to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to visit our content. Let me see if I can bring it up here. On any one of our platforms. We are on Twitter, we are on YouTube and Facebook. If you have not joined the Wikipedia Weekly group on Facebook, you can. Just search for Wikipedia Weekly and mention that you saw us on the podcast. So that is it. Thanks, Rosie. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, everyone.
And